So many crazy things to observe that it absolutely deserved a reload video. Let's get into it. Hey guys, it's Michelle Patterson here with Angel Souls, and today I'm going to be doing another reload video. As I talk about these things, there are a few random things I'm going to be putting together, but as a disclaimer right up front, I am not a mental health care practitioner. I do not have a psychiatric license. Everything that I say here is not meant to be a diagnosis, but rather an observation. And hopefully maybe this will resonate with somebody and they can go off and consult a professional. Also, everything that I say here is not meant to hurt people's feelings. It is not meant to be controversial, although some of the stuff is going to be a little touchy. But again, I make these videos to get us talking about things that maybe we were too afraid to talk about before. So some of the things that happened today, it was funny and yet great. So one of the first things that happened was there was this video that I watched where a man was swearing. He kept, he's just one of these like tough guys. And so, he was swearing quite a lot. And I saw that this woman left a comment saying, "Oh my gosh, swear words are so bad. You know what? Now it's so much negativity. I'm not going to have to like clean my aura because it's just so negative." And if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know how I feel about stuff like that. And it just really started to click for me. And this is the part that I kind of wanted to talk about. It started to dawn on me that she's trying to make herself, perhaps, I don't really know what she's doing, but it just seemed to me that she was trying to make herself seem very, very fragile and therefore precious and therefore special and therefore people might act differently around her. Now, what the motivation, if that's even true, what the motivation behind that would be, it could be a lot of things. It could be attention getting, or maybe she's just a very a person who's in a lot of pain who is trying to protect herself by putting this image out there that, that she can't handle those things. So why would that be somewhat of a dangerous thing to do? Well, number one, if the intention is to, if she is that kind of person that's trying to come from that place of, let me protect myself from other people, what it does is it makes her look weak. All right. Now what happens? Now she's a target. Now this person could potentially end up being food for someone who is a malignant cluster B personality type. Okay, not everybody who has cluster B, obviously, I don't think they're all evil. I mean, I think there can be gradients of things. And I think, again, I'm not the expert. That's why I said that in the beginning. But my understanding of it is that, even narcissists, the hurt comes first and then they have the narcissistic traits. It's a very rudimentary way of looking at it. So please do your own research, consult with professionals on that. But so it's not like everybody there is evil, but I don't know. I felt compelled to speak up to this woman, and I was just like, okay, I wanted to be like, girl, don't do that to yourself. I've learned that the hard way by going out and, just kind of being expressive about what I've been through. And although I still think it's important to talk about those things, there are a lot of people out there that perceive that as a weakness, and then they'll come in and they'll either attack you, and we'll talk about that, or they will try to befriend you and use you for narcissistic supply, or however you want to see that, okay? So there was that. And that was just something I was like, oh, so perfect to put in a reload video. That's something to talk about, because how many of you out there do that? You know what I mean? And I know everyone's going to be like, Michelle, words have energy. It's been proven. I know that. And swearing, if you don't like it, you can walk away from it. But don't judge people who do. And please, please, please don't get into that guise of, oh, I'm so precious, I'm above everybody else, I can't handle swear words. You're not made of glass, okay? And you're not helping yourself. You're just kind of putting a certain image out there. You know what I mean? Again, if you don't like swearing, that's cool, then don't, right? Actually, when I start swearing, especially on days when I'm discovering like, wow, I've used the F word like how many times in like a very short period of time. What am I doing? And sometimes I'll catch myself and I'll be like, you know what? I'm feeling a little vulnerable today. And I think I'm putting on the tough talk so that maybe people will think not to mess with me or to take me seriously. You know, so it can be a good gauge to kind of stop yourself and be like, why am I using that language? Why do I think it's so effective? But for me right now, but like, you know, to then turn it out to everybody else and be like, you shouldn't do that because I'm too fragile to handle that. It starts to become about something else, and don't look away. Don't look away. Which brings me to my next point, which is people supposing, because I was being very careful about how I judged that girl, because I felt myself getting pulled into, I know how she feels, because I know how she's presenting herself. And I have to catch myself too, because we don't always know what people are feeling just through their comments. So one of the biggest things that, as a result of this video this morning, I started thinking about too, I'm like, gosh, how many times have I left a comment? Or, you know, I'm a bit of a whistleblower, if you haven't figured it out yet. And I am like a great reflector, I feel, because sometimes, I mean, I'm very cognizant of what I'm doing. And sometimes to get through to somebody, you have to reflect back to them what they're doing, or at least ask some more questions and get some more information about what their intentions are. And it's so funny, especially this group, especially some of y'all out there, okay? The second I respond to somebody who maybe had left a negative comment or something like that, as soon as I respond to them, maybe I'm even reflecting back kind of the attitude that they were bringing at me just to make a point. And it's part of my job here. It's what I feel is part of my path, is to try to just bring peace and harmony in the way that I can. And sometimes that's not about being in denial or spiritual sidestepping. As a matter of fact, it's not about that. Sometimes it's about looking at what's ugly and what's uncomfortable and working through that. But it's funny when I will kind of express back to somebody else how they're presenting themselves, and people will suppose that they know exactly how I feel. This is a red flag for people who might want to use you for your energy. Okay, this isn't the case all the time, but when somebody says, I know exactly what you're doing, I know exactly how you feel, there starts to be some sort of, because you don't know how I feel. One of the biggest examples of that is when somebody says, Michelle, why do you let them get to you? And I'm literally sitting there like, I might be like, you know, just completely just at home chilling, and I read that comment, I'm like, I'm fine. What do you mean? Why? How do you know that I let them get to me? Well, you're commenting. Michelle, don't put your energy into that. I type real fast, so don't worry about it. Okay? It didn't take much energy. And I'm sound really stupid, but I'm really good at that. I'm really good at, oh, is that how it goes? I'm going to buy, you know. And it doesn't take much out of me to reflect back, okay? And to type it out and then to move on. Now, if people want to have judgment around that, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I would really encourage you guys, use this channel, use my Facebook page to kind of look at how people respond. Let's get out of this place where, ooh, that's uncomfortable. I don't want to look at it. Ooh, I don't want to get involved. Don't get me involved. I got to, you know, still get the kids to soccer practice. You know, don't look at me. You know, like I don't want to be on, you don't have to choose sides, but you know, being complacent is not really an option anymore. If you haven't noticed, things are breaking open in this world. And this would be, I think, you know, the abuse patterns that go on in the world, as much narcissism as there is, as much sociopathy and psychopathy that's going on in the world, I think that's just a huge indication of the kind of pain. There's something we're overlooking. There's something run amok that needs to get reined in. And, okay, I'm getting a runny nose here. So there's something sort of running amok here. And when we keep looking away, we overlook things that are huge, okay? This isn't even about just abuse towards one another. This is about abuse towards children, for example. Okay, well, we're hearing a lot about that. But did you stop and think that, you know, kids are being emotionally abused as well? So it's going to keep repeating itself if we don't start calling things out. Now, When I call things out, it's not with the intention of looking cool, looking like a badass, looking like, look, that's right, I called it out, because you got all this this attitude out of some people, and they're doing it because they want to look a certain way. They're doing it because they are getting something out of it. I'm not interested in that story, okay? So what I'm asking people to just consider doing, feel it out, see if you like it, okay? Just consider stopping and observing. Just stop and observe, all right? Does that seem weird? I bet to some people, some behaviors, it's just like second nature. Michelle, you might even be sitting there going, Michelle, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's a problem. That's a problem. If you can't identify it, it's a huge problem. Okay, so how do we identify potential? Again, this is just from my experience. This is not coming off of any sort of psychological study or anything like that. But when I start really seeing, start spotting things like the false apology, for example. I'm sorry, you feel that way. Well, I'm sorry, you don't know how to apologize appropriately. Anything that kind of deflects back on you. Or let's recap the example I just gave. Okay, someone leaves something nasty, okay, like something really nasty, and I'll feel, because I'm an empath, so I kind of feel it out and go, okay, all right. So then I reflect back to them the kind of attitude that they're giving me, and then you have people coming in here going, oh my God, Michelle, you're supposed to be like a spiritual intuitive. You're supposed to be X, Y, and Z, because that's my expectation of you, and I'm going to put that on you. And in addition, there is this undertone of judgment. You shouldn't be acting that way. I'm sorry. And you are what? So, look at that in your own life. I'm just using comments because that's an easy example. So just look at that throughout your whole life and make sure you're not doing that to others, right? Or if you are, stop and ask yourself, where is that coming from? What am I getting out of that? Okay. Another little red flag that came to my attention today, and I was just pondering that. I realized that I've kind of allowed this, but people who don't know me, who give me nicknames, especially kind of very diminishing nicknames. Like one of them somebody had that I didn't even know this person. They started just calling me by this one nickname that actually sounded like something that you would say to a dog when you're calling them. And I was like, why did I let that person talk to me like that? Why did I allow them to do that? Or, calling me by whatever they want. A typical one is, hey, Shelly. Actually, I go by Michelle. And I know what the response might be with that, because I'm getting pretty good at figuring out what people's sort of auto responses are to things like that. Why are you so uptight? Oh, nicknames are cute. Okay, if I know you and we're tight like that and you want to give me a little nickname, that is endearing, then I am your Shelly. Okay, fine. But if I've never met you and I don't know you, the reason why I'm bringing that up is not about pride or being stuffy or uptight about my name. It is a way I think that people try to do that love bombing. They're trying to force a close connection with you when you don't know them like that. And how many times have you ever stopped somebody who has done that to you, right? Have you ever been like, no, my name is Michelle or whatever your name is. It's not, Mish Mish. It's not Michelet. It's not Mickey. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not, no, and my name ain't Melissa either. Some people just get off the rails with that one. That's just the wrong name, or whatever. Actually, I was called Jane one time and I was like, I think you're confused. I am not Jane. But anyway, it's in some people's intentions, I think, for some of them, it's to have control over you. You're my little Shelly. You're or we're tight like that. Let me in. So please, don't disregard that, all right? Pay attention to little signs like that. So people judging you, people trying to come in and trying to force intimacy. If I don't know you and maybe you're doing something as simplistic and would be easy to overlook as giving me a nickname when I don't know you, that might, again, societal pressure, overlook it, let it go. Oh my God, why did you let that get to you? Again, you don't know how I feel. It didn't get to me. It needed to be called out because nobody is. All right. Nobody's talking about this stuff. So look at those little red flags where people are trying to come in and, you know, force some sort of like connection with you. It's often for the ends of sucking the energy out of you. Okay. The other thing too, controlling people's responses to things, as evidenced by people who say, let it go. Don't give your energy to that. And I get where some people would be more comfortable just looking away, would be more comfortable not getting into it. Okay. And some stuff you shouldn't. Right? I mean, shoot, on last check, I didn't even check before I started recording this. I got some person who's going around to all my videos and spamming me and trying to shock me. And just like, whatever. So that, I mean, whatever. Am I going to go in there and report that person and whatever? No, I'm just going to be like, whatever, you know, do your thing. You're making a fool out of yourself. It has nothing to do with me. But there are some things that are important that you don't have to be a renegade and start blasting everybody for things that you perceive as being wrong. But again, come from that place of observation. You might come across somebody who, you know, they're giving you a little nickname because they want to feel close to somebody, you know. Maybe it's inappropriate, but maybe they're just not there yet and they don't really know that that's not funny, right? Now, let's stay with that example for just a second. If your name is David and someone calls you Dave, I mean, that's an easy mistake to make. First of all, they're very close. And second of all, a lot of people go by Dave, right? So, you know, I had a boyfriend once who, his name was Michael, but everyone called him Mike. So I was calling him Mike. And then he called me out on it one day. He goes, why do you keep calling me Mike? I go by Michael. I'm sorry, are you lecturing everybody that you know? Because everybody you know calls you Mike. So me as his girlfriend, I wasn't allowed to call him Mike. I had to call him Michael, you know. So I get it. But, you know, to be fair, I wouldn't let him call me Shelly. You know, so it's just, I don't respond to that. But anyway, you know, just again, just be in that place of observation, not judgment, and start to trust yourself. Really, I think a lot of us need to do this because realize this. For every person that is living in that cluster B world, first of all, God bless them. God bless them. Again, I don't know about everything, obviously, but I feel like I've heard where, you know, being a psychopath or a sociopath, that has in part something to do with the wiring of the brain and environment. And I think narcissism just comes from like abuse. I don't know if we want to open up a conversation about that. Let's do it. But please look that up for yourself. Research it for yourself, because I'm not sure if I have all the information on that. But, you know, every time we talk about stuff like this, a lot of those people are in the positions in society where they control us. And so it has become normal response to look away from those kinds of people and what they're doing, or to treat it as normal, right? So we have become okay with abusive trends, all under the guise of there must be something with you if you can't just let that go. Me doing this video, again, use this channel as a study. You'll see the narcissist, you'll see their responses. They're the ones that are going to put me on blast. Why? Because I just went over and I caused an earthquake in their world. And things start shaking for them and their masks start to loosen up. And, you know, they panic and they get mad. And so they come back and attack the people who are trying to speak up about these things and wake people up to it. Okay? Yeah, there's going to be some compassion that's needed here, but you don't need to go around saving everybody. Okay? So these people are going to have a big opinion about it. They're going to do anything they can to diminish, to destroy. And I'm okay. Like, I see it for what it is. And so it doesn't really actually find it interesting. I really do. I'm like, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. But the people I'm most concerned about are the people who get easily persuaded by that. Because we have a group of people, especially in this community, who are, you know, they're empathetic. All right. Maybe even with some codependent tendencies, which I understand. I totally understand. But whatever you want to call it, we have this group of people that when those people start to complain and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. You're awful. You're no spiritual person. And they pay attention to how they put things. You're not good at what you do. You suck. You're a bitch. You shouldn't be out here doing this. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Then you have people who all they know is that pain is bad, okay? And that they feel this need to stop pain. So whether the pain is real or imaginary, and most sociopaths, for example, they have no empathy. So everything that they're exhibiting was studied and learned, okay? And if you think it feels weird, pay attention to that. But these people might be shouting, pain, pain, I'm so offended. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And these people go, oh my gosh, let me save you. Oh my gosh, Michelle, you're horrible. Look what you did. You made them mad. You hurt them. You're horrible, you know? And they don't see the person that blew the whistle, if you want to see it that way, or spoke out. They don't see that person as brave. They don't see that person as strong. They see them as a troublemaker. And so we have these people who are just like, oh, all I have to do is pretend to be in real pain, and all those suckers out there. And by the way, they see you as suckers, okay? They see you as suckers. They see you as idiots. They see you as less than, all right? They're going to come over, and now I got them on my side. Look at me. I could point out a few YouTubers who have done that for the past several years, okay? Look at me. I'm the big fat cat over here, and now all these people hate that person. And then usually people get like, okay, I didn't know that all this drama was going to happen. I'm tired. I need to back off. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend. Okay. And then it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And those people procreate, okay? Those people, I don't mean it that way, but you know, people who maybe shouldn't be having children, if I may, they end up going ahead and having families and then teaching their children these patterns of narcissism or pain, or these kids are getting abused, you know? And then we're not supposed to, we're seeing this, guys. So if you're sitting here watching this and you're like, we're getting way too deep, it's getting way too crazy, then you of all people need to listen, okay? Sit here and take as much as you can. Take it in small doses if you want, all right? But please just don't dismiss it. Please take it in. If you're of healthy and sound mind, please take this in and question yourself. How patterned have I become? How conditioned am I, all right, to the responses? Yes? And we see those in examples of, you know, how women are treated, how Black people are treated. You know, I mean, this goes so deep. It goes so deep. I know getting on the topic of child abuse is a big one, but it's very real and it's very relevant. And these kids that are in these unhealthy homes with these people who are just really good at like brainwashing everybody and getting them to surround them. And, you know, maybe mom is the codependent and dad's the narcissist, or vice versa. And these kids grow up in these homes and then they go out into the world and they're poorly adjusted and they're going into a world that says, hey, oh, that stuff that happened, oh, that's normal. Don't look at it. Now, some of you who are watching this, you're going to go, uh-huh. And it plugs into the machine, doesn't it? You feeling me? You feeling where I'm going with this? Why do you think this is a continuing problem? If you don't know what I'm talking about, let's leave it up to spirit to teach you. Okay? It's not a threat. It's nothing bad. I mean, the situation's bad, but it's not that you're bad for not knowing. You know what I mean? But see what revelations come to you. And then ask yourself, what part can I play to stop this? Sometimes it's just as simple as, all right, I see what's going on here. I'm going to move back from it, and I may go warn another person. Careful with that person, okay? The unfortunate thing is that, you know, sociopaths, narcissists, psychopaths who study this kind of stuff so that they know how to respond, they're going to watch this and they're going to, you know, they're going to take on those traits of somebody who is seemingly trying to stand up for what's good and who's seemingly trying to, you know, get us moving into a healthier place. So how can you know what's up? What do you think? Big guess. Your intuition. Being in that high frequency. Not to where you're above others, okay? And that was another thing I contemplated talking about. Maybe we will still. But if your intuition is strong, you will be able to tell who's genuine and who's not. And you can move away move away from them, maybe non-judgment, or if you feel like you need to call it out, you can do that, but do so safely, and non-triggering. Again, yeah, one of the things that was really kind of on my list to talk about in a reload video, let's just put it here. People, it's going along the vein of like the cluster B types. You guys know I'm like really focused on that right now, and I probably will be for a while. There's a lot to learn there, and it's very eye-opening. Okay, but using religion to have power over people. Again, I'm just going to give it a light treatment here. If this is something that we want to go deeper into, maybe we'll do that in another video. But I was thinking this morning about, or somebody who left a comment on my Facebook page. Back to the comments. I'm telling you, it's the best study in human behavior. I went back and I remember seeing that I had posted something about, hey guys, please remember to protect yourselves against this kind of thing and blah, blah, blah. Just trying to get people, again, aware, wake up, let's look at this. And somebody was like, they just started preaching. It made no sense. It sounded like they were just regurgitating something that they were programmed, maybe not programmed, but maybe something they studied. It was a studied response. It was a rehearsed response. That's what it was. And so showtime. So they're going to use the internet. They're going to use a social platform to come on out here and be like, well, when we do this, then this happens. And this is it. Again, it sounded like a bunch of hooey. It really did. And no wonder we in the spiritual community get such a bad rap for not being grounded, because this sounded like a bunch of hooey. Okay. Now, I'm no stranger to Buddhist concepts, Christian concepts. I'm a little bit of a stranger to Islam and Judaism, just because I haven't had that much exposure to those belief systems. But this person really got to me, and I called them out, and I'm like, really, you're having a teachable moment right now? And sure enough, they didn't know how to respond other than with their rehearsed response. Okay. And so nothing was going to rock this person. And they threw in there a good old namaste for good measure. And it really got me thinking. And I'm like, whew, a prevalent problem. And just because I'm in Colorado, in northern Colorado, Buddhism is very popular. And so I've met a lot of people around here who either they were raised Buddhist or what am I trying to say? They converted over to Buddhism. Yeah, it's good enough? Okay. So, and I've also come across a lot of people who they take the concepts of any sort of belief system or a religion or whatever, and they twist it. Yes? So we see this with Christians who just want to throw Bible verses at you. By the way, just because you know how to read the Bible doesn't mean you understand it. Okay? Calm yourselves. Chill out. All right? Or using Bible verses to, have control over people. We see that all the time. But there's a sneakier version. It's some of these Buddhists are people who want to become Buddhists, and they, they take those concepts to put themselves above others. Yes? So this whole sense of enlightenment, you're going to be an observer of the chaos kind of thing. But that's not this isn't everybody, obviously, but there's a small group that they're getting out there, man. They're leaking into the supply, the water supply here almost. And people are drinking it, like they're drinking the Kool-Aid kind of thing. And people will look at them and think that they're so enlightened. Oh, look at them. They follow Buddhist practices. And I'm an empath, so I'll tune in and I'll be like, I don't tune into their soul. I'll just pick up whatever's kind of sitting out there for me to pick up on. I'm like, no, all they did was shut down their empathy so that they looked enlightened. You think this is somebody who has compassion and just deep wisdom and deep understanding, and that's how they're able to be in their enlightenment? Nah, they genuinely don't give two craps about what's going on, and all they had to do to look like a Buddhist was go, well, I'm going to move away from this now. Goodbye. And then, so you feel me? So that's another thing. Also, look at your own motivation. If you're getting into something, make sure you really understand the deep principles of it. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable necessarily and say, hey, I don't really know all of that. Yeah, I guess it can kind of make you a target, but only if you come off as like, because you don't know it, then you're weak. You know what I mean? But other than that, if you're like, I'm open to understanding that more. These people, The ones that are out there trying to be like, look how enlightened I am. If you really ask them, like, how long have you been practicing? They'd be like, oh, 1 month, you know? And for those of you out there who are Buddhists and you know what I'm talking about here, you know, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that, you know, I don't know how that goes because I don't practice that, but that's got to be rough. So the reason why I bring that up is because this is another layer and another example of what we're talking about, how people will put on this false face, how they will then turn that around and attack everybody else and be like, you know, you're not as enlightened as me and you can't ruffle my feathers. Well, of course I can't, because you don't care. You're not enlightened. You're denying a part of your soul. And that's, please don't come at me and twist my words. Watch the people who do. Watch the people who do, because they're exactly what we're talking about here, okay? Like trying to tear down so nobody figures them out, right? So not every, again, now I feel bad for the Buddhists. I'm not saying that everybody does this. I'm just saying that there's a small cluster of people who are, you know, it's like the evangelical Christians who become extremists, you know, I mean, even more extremist. I'm sorry, but I think if Jesus were walking the earth, he wouldn't walk into a Planned Parenthood and shoot everybody up. Don't play me. You think I don't know? I'm Team Jesus over here, okay? Like, I know Jesus. Watch, and watch that too, because that will trigger somebody. Well, the Bible says, you don't need to preach to me about the Bible. I've read the Bible, you know? But try to use it just to they're feeling something within them. So anyway, be careful with that kind of stuff out there, guys. Try to observe it. If you're in that loving heart space, you're in the genuine divine love space, your intuition is going to be firing off. You're going to go, something is off about this. If you want odd practice, and someone's going to yell at me for even saying this, I used to really hate the show Millionaire Matchmaker. I'm still not a fan of it, but it has been the most incredible study of what we've become numb to. Yes? So women are supposed to look like this, men are supposed to look like this. This is what gets people to match up. That's all there is to it. And if you watch that show, if you can stomach it, okay, there are so many examples of covert narcissists on there. Some of them are just like obvious. Couple of really, one of those guys might have been a psychopath, okay? And still they're getting set up on dates. If you want to practice spotting the psychopath, spotting the sociopath, the narcissist, watch any of those reality shows. Watch them. And you'll see the people that come in and pay for those services like, oh my gosh. You know? So again, that's just a little practical thing. Shield yourself, protect yourself before you watch stuff like that, and don't get sucked into the drama. All right. So I think we've talked long enough. This is a long video. So I am sending you guys so much love. Be careful out there. All right. And be true to yourselves. Take care. Bye-bye.